My name is Madison Timmons.
And I'm JT Timmons.
And this is From One to Wicked, a podcast where we talk about malevolent spirits from around the world and rate them on a scale from 1 to wicked. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of From One to Wicked. My name is Madison Timmons.
And I'm JT Timmons.
And we have a super creepy story for you today. So we have talked about a lot of singular spirits the past couple episodes, but this one we're going to actually talk about a haunted location.
Ooh.
Which is really fun. And
might we be visiting this haunted location?
Yes, we will, actually.
Oh,
so
when?
We are actually going to be visiting this place next week. So we're going to be going up there at the beginning of September for those of you who might be listening to this not at the same time as when we're uploading it. But we are going up to West Virginia. So we're going to be visiting the Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park in Princeton, West Virginia, which is super cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so we're actually going up there originally for a wedding, but JT and I, being the people that we are, we always look for the hauntings that are going to be where we're visiting. So I had always heard about Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park, but I never connected the two between our friends because the couple that we're going to see get married, they're from Princeton, West Virginia. And I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I had no idea they were from the same place that Lake Shawnee was.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes away from their house, which is
That's wild.
Crazy. So of course, we were like, absolutely, we have to go there. So if you're not familiar with Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park, we're going to go into all of that and all the hauntings and stuff. But it's honestly a very frightening place.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see what we can find there.
We're going to be putting stuff up publicly, like on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all of that. But we also will be putting about 50% of everything that we record up on Patreon exclusively. So if you want to catch that, join our Patreon.
Yep, and we're also going to be vlogging, too, on our way up there. So if you just want to hear JT and I make dad jokes while we drive with two dogs up to West Virginia and talk about ghosts on our way,
absolutely,
that's the place for you.
For sure.
So let's go ahead and dive into the history of Lake Shawnee. So Lake Shawnee Amusement Park was originally constructed in 1926 by a proprietor named Conley Snindo Sr.
That's a last name. Snindo.
Yeah.
Snintendo.
Yes. And so he purchased the land. It was basically just like an empty lot, and he was planning to make something really cool for the community.
Cool.
Because West Virginia was mostly just like a coal miner state, so there wasn't like a ton of things that were unique like that would even bring tourists in, because most people who lived there, they were just working in the coal mines.
Yeah, absolutely.
So very simple lives.
For sure. I mean, I think that at that point, the only thing that would bring tourists in are like how beautiful the actual state is, right? Like the hikes and the
absolutely.
Because I remember we drove through West Virginia to another wedding in Ohio like years ago, and we were like, we have to stop here one day and like check this state out. I feel like it doesn't get enough love. People don't talk about it as much because it doesn't have a bustling metropolis, but I don't know.
It doesn't need it.
It doesn't need it. It's gorgeous.
It has a lot of hauntings and a lot of beautiful nature, which honestly go hand in hand.
It's got like more asylums than most states.
Yeah,
most other states.
They have a rich history with putting people in mental institutions, but
yeah, gotta love that.
But the thing is, though, is in the 20s, it was really popular to have these like attractions that would make people want to travel. It was very difficult to travel in that point, because you got to remember it was right at the beginning. I'm trying to remember when the interstate network was originally constructed, but it was kind of difficult to get to and from different states. So it has to be something that's really interesting to get people to want to come visit.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was his plan. His vision was to build a place for local families to come and relax and enjoy time together. And he, because it was a coal miners' town that he was constructing this in, and each year he wanted to make the destination more and more so to attract visitors who were coming on summer vacations.
Okay.
So he wanted to have a man-made swimming lake, a racetrack, concessions, cabins for visitors who were wanting to stay overnight. He wanted it to be like the premier thing to do in West Virginia.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah. And the cornerstones of the amusement park were going to be the Ferris wheel and the swings.
Ooh, I want to go.
Well, we are. Don't you worry. They're still there. So, but, yeah, so those would end up being the two most popular rides, the Ferris wheel and the swings. Mm-hmm. But very quickly, I would say, in the scheme of like an amusement park, tragedy would start to occur.
Oh, boy.
It started in the 1950s, actually, that the incidents really started happening. And so the first incident would be a young girl would actually get killed on the swing ride. It was when a delivery truck driver backed into her seat, killing her on the swing.
Wait, while she was swinging?
Yeah.
So she swung into a truck?
No, the truck backed up and crushed her. Like
while she was swinging or
while she was sitting on the ride.
Oh, so she was sitting like waiting to swing.
Yes.
Ooh, dope.
Well, because it's one of those mechanical swings. It's not like a park swing. So
I just didn't know if she swung into the truck or or she like literally just crushed her while she was stationary.
She was stationary.
Okay.
Somebody just really must have had to get their eyes checked because
Lord.
I don't know how you miss a child on a swing, but he backed into her and ended up killing her on the swing.
Goodness gracious, poor thing.
I know. And then another incident would happen in the 50s where a little boy would die because he drowned in the swimming pool after getting his arm stuck in a drain pipe. Yeah.
That's some Final Destination 4 stuff.
Right?
Is that 4? Final Destination 4 where he gets sucked into the pool? I don't remember. Anyway,
yeah,
that's crazy.
It might be. But yeah, so he ended up dying that way. There is some other reports of some other children dying. Allegedly, there was up to 6 kids that were killed at Lake Shawnee.
Yo. No wonder it's closed.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and various reasons. Like,
Goodness.
some of them were saying that kids were getting drowned from, like other kids drowning, and you know how that goes. It's like you shouldn't.
Like dunking your friend.
Yeah, where the kid is drowning, and then he grabs onto another kid and pushes the other child.
Yeah, that's not cool, man.
Well, it happens. It's what happens with drowning people. Is that's something they teach you when you're trying to save a drowning person, is that you don't want to have them grab onto you because they will try to drown you.
Yeah,
not on purpose, but as a last ditch effort. But anyway, so in 1966, the amusement park would shut their doors forever, and the land would stay dormant for decades.
Cool.
It wasn't until the 80s when the park opened up again.
Wait, they reopened it after 6 kids died?
Yes.
Bruh.
So, yeah, in the 80s, Gaylord White acquired the land and set out to...
So does everyone here have a weird name?
It was the early... the mid-1900s. People had weird names. Listen, we're going to talk about another spirit up in West Virginia, and his name's Trout. At least their name is not Trout. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just a West Virginia thing, but I feel like most places, especially in the South, in the mid-1900s, people had weird names.
Yeah. All right. Well, paddle faster. I hear banjo music.
Bruh. Oh, my God. Anyways... So Gaylord White acquired the land and set out to restore it to its former glory. And in addition to purchasing a Ferris wheel, he found a swing ride that seemed to be just like the swings that were once there. But the interesting thing is that when they installed the swings on the property, they realized the serial number matched that of the swings that were on the property from the 1920s.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the same swing that little girl died on, they brought it back.
Well, okay. No, in their defense, it's not like a delivery truck driver killed her. It wasn't the swing. So
Yeah, but it's
I'm not
a haunted swing.
Oh, no. You're going to save money. No, I'm not. It's obviously getting to the point where it's the land, not the swing.
Okay, but Jay,
I get it.
But here's the thing is, it's weird, though, that the swing came back. They got rid of the swing in the 60s when they sold the property.
All swings come back.
Oh my God. Honestly, I should do this by myself.
Yeah,
Nobody
really.
wants to hear these jokes. But yeah, but that's what I'm saying though, is they thought they bought like the swing ride again.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, they didn't know it was the same one. So it's a weird coincidence that
Sure.
they ended up buying the exact same swing set that girl died on.
That's a weird flex, but okay.
It is a weird flex, but so it was, in their minds, they thought it was like a serendipitous homecoming that made the grand opening even better. Whee. You know, like, yes, come back to the place where kids died, and don't remember that the kids died there, but we do have the swing where the girl died.
When we get there next week, I want to look for the serial number.
I mean, you probably can if they don't show it to you, like, because they own like their past.
If I was a real paranormal podcaster, I'd get it tatted on my neck.
Oh my God. You're on something else today, seriously.
Yeah,
But the weird thing is so Gaylord White, he was very interested in learning about the history of the property also.
Okay.
And he wanted to make it to exactly what the original owner wanted it to be. So they ended up actually digging out an area. They started excavating to build a mud bogging track.
Hey.
You know, make a real country.
All right.
So
now I really want to go.
right. So, but here's the thing is when they were excavating this, they found a series of really surprising things in the ground.
All right.
So they ended up teaming up with Marshall University, and between Marshall University and the White family, they discovered artifacts that told the original story of the Native American tribe that existed on the land way before the amusement park.
Oh, boy.
So
they should have listened to Stephen King.
So they found out that, right, they should have, but they had no idea that it was a Native American burial ground.
Oh, Lord Jesus, it's a
for
fire.
the Shawnee tribe. Mm-hmm. So they found bones, they found graves, they found sacred burial objects, they found all sorts of stuff.
You get off that immediately. That's you just got to take that as lost.
Yeah, you just got to take it and go. But what they also found was that in the 1700s, there was another property that was built on top of this land. And it was an active home, so a home base for a family. And among them, it was a man named Mitchell Clay, his wife, Phoebe, and their children. And they were the first English settlers in West Virginia.
Okay.
And that was in 1770.
All right. So it was first a Native American burial ground.
Yeah.
And then the old American way, we settled on top of it.
Yes.
Okay. And then and now it's an amusement park. So it just keeps getting more and more more and more American.
So, but here's the thing though, is what they found out was how the family ended up dying. So in 1783, members of the Shawnee tribe, they basically kidnapped and murdered two of the children, Tabitha and Bartley.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, apparently. So Tabitha and Bartley were both murdered on the property, and Mitchell Clay, the father, he ended up tracking down those tribe members, and he followed them all the way into Ohio, where he found his third child, his son Ezekiel, burning at the stake.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
that's aggressive.
It's very aggressive.
Okay.
And so all three children had been buried on the property with a small little monument for them. And now there's an actual monument that stands on the property for them for their deaths.
Goodness.
For the deaths of those 3 children. So, along with the bodies of those kids, they also, back for the Native American people, they found 3,000 Shawnee Native Americans on the property.
Like buried?
Buried.
What?
A mass grave.
3,000?
3,000. A giant mass grave.
Goodness gracious.
And so, along with that, they also found bracelets, clothing, tools, and they, along with the bodies. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, that is going to definitely cause some issues when you are building on top of a mass grave, especially one that is so sacred to a culture.
Yeah.
You can't, it's a big no-no to, like, desecrate a grave in general.
Yeah.
But especially, we see it here in Savannah, you know, like when you build on top of the burial mounds, you get very riled up spirits, typically. Mm-hmm. So, onto the hauntings. Basically, many people have reported interactions with the little girl who died on the swing.
Okay.
Because, especially now, because they have the original swing, they have actually marked her seat where she died.
Of course they have.
With a red ribbon. And so, and it's odd because she actually is usually seen in a seat that is adjacent to that swing.
Okay.
And it's one that has a little owl ornament on it.
Gotcha.
And so a lot of times people report, even though there is like no breeze at all, they'll see the owl kind of spinning or moving on its own.
Okay.
Even though there's like literally no wind. And a lot of other times the owl will stop and then it will fall limp. And then sometimes it will just drop to the ground.
Will it ever hoot though?
No, it does not hoot. It is a ornament.
Sure.
But yes, so basically it will sometimes literally fall off the swing, almost like she dropped the toy and is like moving on to other toys.
Or it could be just old.
No, well, it's tied onto the swing, you know, like.
Okay.
Things don't just come untied like that on their own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, for
it's
sure.
It's not like they're running the machine often. It's just sitting there. There's no real reason as to why it would just all of a sudden go
plop.
You know?
Okay. Heard.
And then with the little boy who died there, who drowned in the lake, it is also reported that he moves throughout the park, seemingly preferring the area at the front of the park where he can welcome and allegedly protect visitors.
Okay.
In a way that he could not protect himself when he was alive. So close to the lake, a white plastic pinwheel is attached to the side of an old ticket booth, which a lot of people believe is his connection still, because it was like something that was originally there. Sure. Which doesn't necessarily have to be the case with spirits. They don't always have to have an object that they would have been familiar with when they were alive to haunt a place. Sometimes, honestly, with this kid's death, it was traumatic enough.
So let me get this straight. We're just super fast.
Yeah.
The Native Americans obviously were buried there, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't know if they died brutal deaths or anything like that.
Yeah, we don't have much info on
So
that.
the only people that have died at this amusement park are like under 15 years old.
Yes.
Okay.
So, basically, this child is often seen moving the pinwheel when there's no wind.
Okay.
And people have actually
they see him actually there, like moving the pinwheel, or is the pinwheel just moving with no wind?
It's moving with no wind. And so one of the cases, or one of the incidents where people started to believe that it was the child, was because there was a couple of guests who came on a tour one time, and they saw the pinwheel moving, and then it would stop.
Okay.
And then they started recording, and they asked the little boy, if you're here, can you move the pinwheel? And it started moving.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that's...
So people like to think that that is the little boy. Honestly, these kids don't seem to be very aggressive in the afterlife at all.
Yeah. Do you think we need to bring them toys?
Okay. So I have mixed feelings on bringing any kind of offering to a spirit. I would say if we're doing it solely out of respect for it being like their death place, sure. But like a lot of times you can deepen a connection between you and the spirit where they can form an attachment to you by giving them offerings.
Oh, and so they might, well, with little Gracie in the cemetery
But
here,
that's leaving it at her grave.
in the Bonaventure Cemetery. Well, that's what we're talking about.
This is not their grave. They're not buried there.
Oh, okay.
This is where they died. That's
Oh,
where
okay,
the spirit
okay.
is. Little Gracie, in particular, if you're talking about that, it's debatable whether her spirit is actually there. There might be elements of her energy that still reside with her grave.
Yeah.
But I don't know if her spirit is necessarily attached to that grave. It's very common practice to leave, like rocks on Jewish graves and things like that out of signs of respect, or leaving coins or leaving herbs and flowers and stuff. That's totally fine if you're doing that for a grave, because that's just showing respect to the dead.
Sure.
Or trying to, gain protection from the gatekeepers of the cemetery or things like that. But
yeah. My number one question when trying to evaluate how to rate this, I guess, is, do we think that it is the actual spirits of the Native Americans doing this, or has there been a curse placed upon this, where it's not the spirits, it's just a curse that was placed upon it?
So I'm kind of in the same place with you of, I don't know if it necessarily is the Native American people.
Yeah.
Because, yes, they did kill 3 children, but who knows if those people are even still buried there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's very possible just the land is cursed.
Yeah. I'm kind of going on the side with curse, because yes, home defense is a thing that even right now in America we take very seriously, with the fact that if someone breaks into your house, you can legally shoot them. So in my opinion, at the time, the Native Americans were just trying to defend their land. Yes, they did it in a super brutal way. Yeah. I'm not necessarily saying it was right. However, because of children mainly. But I also, I see how we look at home defense right now in America, and I see some stark similarities with what happened. I don't necessarily think that is malicious. Now, if they left a curse, that could be seen as pretty malicious. However, that's kind of like a thing that is within their culture.
Yeah, so
right?
That's kind of where my head's going is, that is a big thing with, within Native American beliefs.
Yeah, there's movies about it. There's all types of stuff about it.
It's not necessarily we call it a curse. It's like a catch-all term. There are different names for things like that. But they do believe in guardian spirits of their land and guardian spirits of the tribe, and things that protect them. So it makes me wonder if it isn't even just like some kind of spirit that is associated with Native American tribes.
Okay.
That is defending the land and causing these freak accidents.
Yeah.
Or they could just be freak accidents.
What do the
really unsafe.
What do the landowners think?
They believe it's super haunted.
No, but like, what do they think it is?
Oh,
is it a demon? Is it a curse?
There's no
is it
written
a spirit?
statement of exactly what they believe. They're more about the history of the hauntings versus the theory of the hauntings.
Yeah.
We're here to decipher theory.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Yeah.
So it's There isn't a written thing, so it really is just our speculation. And this might change when we go there and actually
Sure.
experience the land. Maybe we can pick up on something that I'm not able to find on the internet. But in my opinion, I think
because she sees dead people, y'all.
yeah, I do. I do. And I might see the dead kids. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But I'm just my gut's telling me that it's some kind of protective spirit trying to protect the land that was taken.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And a lot of spirits can't decipher between time periods because their time periods are not as linear as ours.
Yeah, yeah.
So they could easily believe that this amusement park is still a part of that family that ran off a whole tribe, you know,
Sure.
as settlers, or a continuation of that. The land has been disgraced in a lot of ways, and
this is kind of what if the Native American people didn't leave a curse? What if there was just so much ill intent between the family coming in and running the tribe off, and then the some people from the tribe killing the kids? Maybe there's just so much ill intent that cursed the land. Like just so much violence and hatred between two groups of people, and also just a ton of emotion, like displacement of your home and all of that. Maybe just all of that negative emotion created. Going off a limb here, but what if it created like a portal and something else came in?
I wouldn't go as far as like a portal, but I could definitely see what you're saying could be the case, because that does happen sometimes. Is when there is
Gettysburg.
Yeah, well, Gettysburg is haunted for a bunch of different reasons.
But there was also a ton of people killed there.
Oh yeah,
and so it's super
absolutely
haunted, and it can't be considered dangerous.
If you just boil it down to the bare bones, no pun intended, of the situation, it's a mass grave.
Yeah,
it's gonna be haunted no matter what way you go about it.
Yeah.
And pretty much, you can't disgrace a grave without getting some kind of repercussion. That's how it's going to be. So I don't know if it's malevolent, but it's definitely not a nice energy.
No, it's killing kids. It's malevolent. What you talking about?
Well, it's still to be determined, though. Was that a fluke incident, or did the energy or the spirit of the land kill the kids?
I don't know, but what I'd say that 6 dead kids at an amusement park.
Maybe it was just really unsafe.
It could be really unsafe. We're gonna go there to figure that out. But I'm actually when it comes to actually rating the haunting, it could be accidents. I think that the all of the issues that happened there, all of the hate and the violence and everything that happened on that land caused it to become cursed. I don't think it was someone going, I'm cursing this. I think
nobody was sitting down.
That was an option. That was an option. People, people in all cultures do rituals, and that can hex something.
But I highly, highly, highly doubt somebody sat down and did a ritual of, saying anybody who enters this land is going to die. Like, that's very, very rare.
Okay, heard. But at the same time, I could see it potentially happening solely because, if it's if you want this land, then you're going to take it cursed. That's what I'm saying. But I'm not saying that is what I think happened. Number one for me, I think number one is that, again, so there were so many problems with what happened on the land between emotions and actions, that the land became haunted and maybe is more prone to accidents than other pieces of land.
Well, sure.
I think that because 6 dead kids that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not negating.
Sounds like a messed up nursery rhyme. 6 dead kids. Anyway.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not negating that the dead kids is, not a really messed up thing. I'm just trying to decipher. I'm going to stick with the fact that I believe it is a protective spirit of of the Native American belief system.
Okay.
That is guarding the land, and
So it's protective. It's defensive.
Yeah, it's defensive. I wouldn't say it's necessarily
okay.
Actively.
So that's why you're saying it's not malevolent.
Yes.
Because it's defensive.
Yeah, it's not actively seeking torment. It's seeking defense.
If someone breaks into someone else's house and the homeowner shoots them, it's not malicious.
Well, yeah, because you're not actively seeking to go kill someone.
Exactly. You're defending your home.
Yes. And unfortunately,
you're convincing me.
Children are the most susceptible to things like that.
Yeah. Because you're convincing me. I'm starting to become convinced onto that side where it's like a defensive, like get off my property type of deal.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Well, because
I thought it was like I thought one of the bigger options was that someone put a curse on the land, like again, like if you want this land, then you have to take it, and now it's like super hexed. But now I'm kind of siding with you where it's like there's something like a protector on the land that is probably not going to like us being on it.
Well, so I will say there haven't been incidents recently because the current owners are very respectful of the Shawnee tribe.
Okay. They're respectful of the tribe. Okay.
Yes, they are. They've made it a point to make it so that people understand the original tribe that was there, because it is very important to this story and the story of the land to understand who was there beforehand.
Yeah, good for them.
So I feel like because they're honoring the tribe in that way, it might have appeased the spirits a bit more. But yeah, I'm sticking with the defensive nature of things. That happens a lot of times, especially when you're destructive to something that is so sacred.
I'm going over on that side. You convinced me. I agree with you.
Imagine if, like at cemeteries, a lot of times when you have, people who desecrate graves and bad things happen to them, it's because those guardian spirits that are there to protect those graves oftentimes will be defensive against
It's like Grave Dancers, the movie. Check it out. It's awesome. So, not a sponsor.
So that's my opinion. Do you want to rate
it? Yeah. I'm pretty ready to rate it. I see. This has been a roller coaster for me because.
No pun intended again.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I mean, I meant that. It has been a roller coaster for me because I've thought about everything, like curse, blah blah blah, all of this, but if it's defensive, and it was when kids were dying, I would have rated it a 7.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna rate it a 5 because it isn't hurting anyone anymore. You still got to account for the history of it and what it did, but it's not hurting anyone anymore. And I feel like the responsible owners have done enough to acknowledge the original owners of the land that it might have been like, all right, I'm going to sit back and I'm not going to be so defensive because these people are coming on the land and learning about the tribe. And I feel like that's super. I mean, I know that we're going to go there and we're going to be like learning all about the tribe, I'm sure. I'm sure we're going to be reading placards and they're going to be telling us about the tribe and all of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to rate it a 5 for right now. Yeah.
I'm going to go with a 4. And I'll tell you why. It's because, in my opinion, same reason, it's not actively hurting anybody now. Whatever spirit it is, whatever defensive entity that has been there for so long, it hasn't hurt anybody, at least since the 60s. You know? It's not, in my opinion, as much of a threat anymore. And if you're looking at the spirits that are currently there that people actively see often, it's 2 children's spirit too, that they can account for that are there. So it's not a chance of a demonic entity or anything like that.
Okay.
And oftentimes when people see these children spirits, they're not doing anything that's abnormal for a child to do. They play with the ornaments. They play with pinwheels. They see them walking around the land and sitting on the swing. You know, that's not threatening to me at all.
No.
And so as long as...
I'm going to stick with 5 because it still kill kids.
Absolutely, and that's fair. But I'm going to go with a 4 because I think as long as the owners stay responsible and continue, you know, honoring the history and honoring the tribe, I think things will be fine. And
all right.
So
there you go. You got a 5 and a 4.
Yeah.
All right.
And now this might change when we go to visit. Maybe something occurs, and I'm like, whoa, hold on.
Maybe we'll do like a revisit episode.
Yeah.
Right, where we sit back down here after visiting and be like, it's a 10.
Yeah, right.
No,
I don't think it'll be a 10. No. But
unless I like break my leg or something tragic happens.
I wonder, well, you know, it could just be because you're clumsy, but, you know, it's...
I'm not clumsy.
Well, if you break your leg, that's kind of clumsy.
Unless
Unless I see a ghost literally take your leg and go snap, I'm going to say it's clumsy.
I have never broken my leg, and if I break my leg there, it is them. It is that.
But
I'm not going to go with any ill intent. I'm going to go totally with an open mind and wanting to learn about the tribe, and that's that. So the next episode will be on the Ghillie Doo.
Woohoo.
Oh, yeah, which is a mythological creature? What would you call that?
He's technically a cryptid of sorts, but he's a creature of Celtic mythology.
Yeah, okay. So mythological.
He's a part of the fairy sector of mythology.
Okay. Yeah, so we're talking about the Ghillie Doo, and that's up in, Scotland? Yep. Cool. All right. This has been fun.
Yeah, this has been great. So if you do want to hear more from us, definitely check out our main podcast, which is The Most Haunted City on Earth. That is everywhere you can get your podcast. So definitely check that out so that you can hear more about the Savannah hauntings and all of the paranormal theory that we go into in that podcast. Also, make sure to check us out on Patreon if you want that exclusive content, those vlogs,
Let me tell you about the Patreon. The Patreon, you get all the episodes before they are available. You get to hear them before they're available, and it's great. Literally, I cut up the episodes for Patreon probably the day after that we filmed them, and they're up. So, you know, that's for both of these podcasts too. So you just inundated with content and podcasts and hearing us goofballs talk about ghosts and analyzing stuff. So really, really cool.
And you get to also see the behind the scenes things that we talk about.
Yeah.
And you can...
I'm going to thank our Patreon super fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me just pull their names up. The newest Patreons are... Tiffany Vineyard, thank you so much. Amy with no last name, but you're awesome. Alicia Beham, thank you. And Kathleen King. Those have been the 4 this week, and we really, really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
You keep this going.
Yeah, it's true. Patreon does help us out a lot to continue making this even better, and it'll help us get to the point where we can go places like haunted amusement parks and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And, you know, make that content for you guys.
Cool.
So definitely check us out there. We're also, you know, we have exclusive voting things that you can have your opinion in on, like our merch, so things like that. If you want to be involved in ways like that, definitely check out Patreon. Also, make sure to follow us on TikTok at The Savannah Underground. We are very active over there. And also follow us on Instagram at Savannah Underground.
Oh, we got a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Go to our link tree.
Yeah,
it's
go
all
to
there.
our link tree. It's all in there.
It's all there.
But yeah, so thank you guys again, and we will see you in the next one. Stay spooky, y'all.